Before we start, please don't forget to like and subscribe. The eggs were still sizzling on the stovetop when Monica tore off her apron and flung it across the marble counter like it had burned her. "I'm tired of serving you in every way," she exploded, her eyes wild, voice echoing off the kitchen's vaulted ceiling. I froze. The toast in my hand slipped, hitting the floor with a thud. "What the hell does that mean, Monica?" I asked, already knowing I wasn't going to like the answer. She pointed at me, her hands shaking. "It means I'm exhausted. Emotionally, physically, spiritually. You come home, you expect smiles, clean shirts, organized dinners, my attention, like I'm some perfectly wrapped subscription box you get to open every night. Are you serious right now?" I stepped around the island, voice rising. "I cook. I clean. I do the grocery runs. I fold laundry. I stay up late when you're working. I give you space when you ask for it. You think this is just me taking from you?" Her lips curled. "It's not about what you do, Brian. It's who you are." My voice cracked. "Who I am. Monica, I've spent 10 years being there for you. I held your mother's hand the night she passed. I took care of your nephew when your sister was in the hospital. I drove you to every therapy appointment when you couldn't get out of bed. Who am I, huh? Remind me, because apparently I forgot." She crossed her arms, staring past me. "You're the guy who thinks effort is affection. That chores make up for real connection. I can't fake this anymore, Brian. I'm drained. So now I'm the villain for trying?" "I didn't say that," she shot back. "But I'm not happy. I haven't been. And you just keep doing instead of seeing me. Maybe because every time I try to see you, you're facing the other way," I said, heat rising in my chest. "You check out. You shut down. Then you call me blind?" She turned toward the hallway. "I don't want to do this." "No, of course not," I muttered, feeling that old familiar pressure in my throat. "You just want to throw a grenade and walk away like nothing happened." She stopped at the doorway and looked back over her shoulder. "Sometimes honesty feels like a grenade, but it's still honesty." Then she disappeared into the hall, and I was left standing there, the kitchen too quiet now, eggs burning on the pan, toast cold on the floor. That kitchen, stainless steel everything, dimmable pendant lights, perfectly lined spice racks, used to feel like the heart of our home. Now, it felt like a crime scene. The truth? We had a beautiful life on paper. I was 41, a commercial real estate analyst with a clean calendar and even cleaner inbox. Monica ran an online boutique, worked from home. We had season tickets to the theater, matching luggage, and a calendar filled with dinner parties. Neighbors waved when I walked our golden retriever, Huxley. We hosted Thanksgiving. People called us solid. But inside this house I'd spent 3 years renovating with my bare hands, something invisible had started to rot. And that morning, Monica didn't just name it. She lit a match and dropped it. What I didn't know then was that fire hadn't even started to spread yet. The morning sunlight hit our garden just right, soft and golden, the kind of light that made everything look like a postcard. I stood in the doorway barefoot, 2 mugs of coffee warming my hands, hoping maybe yesterday had just been a bad day. I had gone to bed alone. She didn't come back to our room. I heard the guest bedroom door close after midnight. But Monica and I had survived rough patches before. Fights worse than that had fizzled after sleep and some caffeine. At least, that's what I told myself as I carried her mug through the back door and walked barefoot across the stone path to where she was sitting, legs curled under her, staring into the lemon tree. "Morning," I said, voice gentle. She turned slowly. No smile, just a neutral nod. She looked tired but composed, like someone who had already made peace with something I hadn't caught up to yet. "I brought you the hazelnut one, with oat milk. Just how you like it," I offered, placing it on the small glass table beside her chair. She didn't touch it. I tried to keep the tone light. I figured we could start the morning off without, explosions. Her head tilted just slightly. "There's nothing left to explode, Brian." I froze for half a beat. "Look, yesterday was a lot. You were upset. I get it. But you can't just pretend we're strangers now. We're married, Mon." She took the coffee in her hands finally, but didn't drink it. "I'm not pretending. That would require effort. This is just me being honest." That word again. Honest. She stood abruptly, leaving the coffee on the table untouched. "I have 2 client calls this morning." "Right now?" I asked, trying not to let my voice carry too much disappointment. "Brian," she sighed, brushing past me. Please don't try to fix something I haven't asked you to fix. I stayed in the garden after she left, my own coffee going cold in my hands. Later that week, we sat side by side on the couch, watching a documentary about oceans. Well, I was watching it. Monica was scrolling her phone, expressionless. I let the credits roll without reaching for the remote, mostly to delay the silence. You used to cry at stuff like this, I said softly, watching a baby seal nuzzle its mother. She didn't look up. People change. I reached for her hand, resting between us on the cushion. My thumb gently brushed her pinky. She snatched it away like I'd shocked her. Don't, she muttered. I stared at her, heart thudding. Why not? She turned her head, just barely. Because it feels fake. Like you're touching me to prove something. Not because you want to. That's not fair, I said, a little too fast. You know I know you think this fixes things, she interrupted, still not looking at me. But it just reminds me how disconnected I feel, and how long I've been pretending not to notice. I sat back, breath catching somewhere between my chest and my throat. So what do you want from me? To stop trying? She gave a tired laugh, low and humorless. I want you to stop thinking that trying harder is the same as understanding. That one stung. We didn't speak for the rest of the night. I lay awake listening to the slow tick of the hallway clock, wondering how a silence so quiet could be this loud. Because something told me she wasn't just tired of the marriage. She was already halfway out the door. But me? I was still standing in the middle of the living room, trying to figure out when she started packing. A week after the night on the couch, I did something bold. Or maybe it was foolish. But at that point, I couldn't tell the difference. I booked us an Airbnb right on the water in Key West. Nothing fancy, just one of those crisp white cottages with blue shutters and a porch swing. The listing called it Driftwood Charm with sea breeze mornings. It sounded like the kind of place where two people could remember what they loved about each other, or at least catch their breath. I told Monica about it 2 days before the flight. She didn't say much, just blinked, pressed her lips into a line, and asked, why? I shrugged. Because we haven't breathed in the same direction in weeks. I thought maybe we could try somewhere warmer, less heavy. She stared at me for a long second. Then, with a tone that felt more resignation than excitement, she said, I'll pack light. We arrived to a soft breeze and the scent of salt and sunscreen in the air. The cottage was even better in person, driftwood-framed mirrors, sand-colored linen curtains, and a balcony that opened up to the sea. Our bags hit the floor in silence. I watched her trace her fingers along a weathered shelf. You've really done all this, she murmured. The booking, the flights, the time off? Yeah, I said. For us. She turned toward the window. Or for you to feel like you tried. Can it be both? I asked, a little quieter. She didn't answer. That evening, we sat on the patio of a seafood place tucked under hanging lights and palm trees. Our table faced the water, and the sunset was doing its best to be beautiful, deep orange melting into pink. I'd made reservations. I'd worn the linen shirt she once said made me look like a man who reads poetry and fixes things. I even shaved. We barely spoke until the key lime pie arrived. Then she laughed. Just once. But it was real. A little snort. A flash of her old self. The waiter had described the dessert as emotionally healing. And something about that struck her. I stared. There it is, I said, stunned. She blinked. What? That smile. I remember that one. She looked down, almost shy. It's not gone, she admitted. It just hides. Something about the way she said it made my throat tighten. I miss you, Monica, I said carefully, not pushing. The real you. The one who used to fall asleep on my chest during storms and hum old Fleetwood Mac songs when she washed dishes. She exhaled slowly. I miss her too. The moment hung between us, like a breath neither of us wanted to let go of. I thought maybe the wind was shifting. But the next morning, she stood barefoot on the balcony, arms folded, eyes on the horizon. I stepped out quietly and handed her a mug. Coffee. No oat milk here, but I asked for vanilla almond. Closest I could get. She took it, but didn't drink. I had a weird dream, she said. Yeah. I was swimming in the ocean. But every time I tried to come up for air, the surface just kept moving farther away. I paused. That sounds heavy. She gave a tired smile. It felt honest. There it was again. Honest. And just like that, I knew the night before hadn't opened a door. It had only cracked a window. Did last night mean anything to you? I asked quietly. She looked at me. No cruelty in her face, but no softness either. It meant you're still trying, she said, and I'm still somewhere else. The coffee went untouched. She turned and walked back inside, leaving me standing barefoot on a balcony overlooking the sea, wondering how you can feel so lonely while standing next to the most beautiful view in the world. By late afternoon, the heat had softened into something gentle, and the ocean whispered instead of roared. Monica lay in the hammock strung between two palm trees, rocking slowly, staring at the horizon like it held a code only she could read. I sat on the edge of the porch step, turning a cold bottle of water in my hands, watching the shadows of palm leaves move across her face. "You've been quiet all day," I said carefully. She didn't look at me. "I told you. I'm just tired." "Since when does tired last this long?" I asked. Her jaw tightened. "Since you turned it into an interrogation." "I'm not interrogating you," I said quickly. "I'm trying to understand you." She finally looked at me then. Her eyes were empty in a way that made my chest tighten. "That's the problem. I don't understand myself either." The hammock creaked as she shifted. "I feel emotionally numb, Brian. Like someone turned the volume down on everything. Joy, irritation, desire, all of it." I stood and walked closer. "Then let me help you find it again." Her lips twitched into something that almost looked like a smile. "Almost. You always say that." "Because I mean it." She exhaled sharply. "You think meaning it is the same as fixing it." "I think staying when it's broken matters," I said softly. "That's easy for you to say," she snapped. "You still feel things." "I feel terrified," I said. "Every second of every day. I wake up afraid that I've already lost you and you just haven't said the words yet." She sat halfway up in the hammock, irritation flashing. "Don't put that on me. I didn't ask you to carry that fear." "No, you just handed it to me piece by piece," I replied, my voice rising despite myself. She swung her legs down and stood. "This is exactly what I meant about you trying to force clarity. I don't have answers to give you. Stop demanding them." "I'm not demanding anything," I said. "I'm begging you to talk to me like I still matter." Her laugh was short and brittle. "You always make it about you." "That's not fair." "Maybe not," she shot back. "But it's true." Silence fell between us, thick and salty with the sea air. The palm leaves rattled softly overhead. "I'm standing right here," I said quietly. "I flew you across the country because I thought maybe the noise of our life was drowning you. And now you're telling me the quiet feels just as empty." She looked away. "The quiet is worse. At least the noise distracted me." That hit harder than I expected. "So what am I supposed to do?" I asked. "Wait? Fix? Pretend?" Her shoulders sank a fraction. "I don't know, Brian. That's the only honest answer I have left. I don't know." I searched her face for something. Regret, hope, anything solid to hold on to. But all I saw was distance. "Then why did you come here with me?" I asked. She hesitated. "Because part of me wanted to want this again." That sentence hollowed me out. The hammock swayed gently in the breeze, now empty. The sun dipped lower, painting the ocean in copper and gold. And under those palm trees, with the most peaceful view in the world behind us, we managed to argue without raising our voices, two people speaking in calm tones while something quietly tore between us. I realized then that even paradise couldn't compete with emotional distance. Back in Charleston, the house felt colder than when we'd left it, though the thermostat hadn't moved. Our bags sat untouched by the stairs for 2 days. Neither of us mentioned them. Monica floated through the house like a ghost. She wasn't cruel, just absent. She answered questions with single words. She moved quietly, like she didn't want to wake something. Maybe me. I kept trying. I'd cook dinner. She'd eat without saying a word. I'd ask if she wanted to go for a walk. She'd shake her head. But the worst part wasn't the silence. It was the fact that I was starting to feel like I was bothering her just by existing. Then came Thursday. I was coming out of my office when she stepped into the hallway from the laundry room, holding a folded towel. She paused. I paused. For half a second, her eyes met mine, and something in that flicker made me act. I stepped forward and kissed her. Not out of strategy, not out of hope, just instinct. Muscle memory from years of being hers. Her lips didn't move, but her hand did. The slap came so fast it didn't register until I heard it. The sound echoed down the hall, sharper than anything we'd said in weeks. She stepped back like I'd touched her with fire. Her face twisted, not in pain, but something closer to revulsion. "Don't touch me," she said, her voice shaking. Kiss someone else. I froze. What? She threw the towel onto the floor. You don't get to just plant one on me like it's still 2017 and we're in love. Monica, no, she shouted, louder than I'd heard her in months. Stop pretending this can be fixed with a soft moment or a plate of spaghetti or a beach trip. I don't want it anymore. I stepped back. You don't want what? This, she gestured wildly around the hallway. The marriage. The intimacy. The weight of being responsible for how you feel every time I walk into a room. That's not fair, I said, my voice low, shaky. I've never put that on you. Yes, you have. Every time you look at me like I'm slipping away, I feel it. And I can't carry it anymore. I stared at her, breathing hard, the echo of the slap still ringing in my ear. You told me you felt numb, I said. But that wasn't numb. That was something else. She didn't deny it. She just stared back at me with tired, sharp eyes. What happened to us? I asked, almost a whisper. I stopped pretending, she said flatly. And just like that, something cracked inside me. It wasn't rage, not sorrow, not even shock anymore. It was something quieter, something deeper, a snap of a string that had been pulled too tight for too long. I stood there in that hallway, staring at the woman I used to build dreams with, and realized I didn't recognize her anymore. And worse, I didn't think she cared. She picked up the towel and walked past me without another word, brushing my shoulder as if I were a stranger in her way. And I didn't turn around. I just stood there, alone in the quiet, one cheek burning and the other going numb. That night, the house was silent, but not in the way it used to be, the kind of silence that comes after a long day of shared laughter and tired smiles. No, this was the silence of something finished. Monica had gone to bed hours earlier. No goodnight, no glance, just the soft click of the guest room door closing. I sat out on the balcony, one leg propped on the railing, a half glass of whiskey sweating in my hand. The street below was still, the magnolia trees whispering in the breeze. Charleston always slept like it was confident the world would still be beautiful in the morning. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel angry, or anxious, or desperate. I just felt done. I tilted the glass to my lips and let the amber warmth settle behind my ribs. I kissed her, I murmured to no one. And she looked at me like I'd touched a stranger. And somehow, it didn't hurt like it should have. Not anymore. I stared out into the dark, tracing the shape of the live oaks lining our block, the same ones I used to trim on Saturday mornings while Monica brought me lemonade and teased me for trying to be manly with clippers. That version of her felt like a ghost now. The woman who'd stood in the hallway earlier, eyes sharp and voice jagged. That wasn't my Monica. Maybe she hadn't been for a while. Maybe I'd been loving a memory. And maybe that memory wasn't coming back. I swirled the last of the whiskey in the glass. It hit me in waves, clarity, not grief. Not the tidal wave of heartbreak I'd been expecting. This was something quieter. Still, I had done everything a man could do. I'd brought her coffee every morning even after the cold started. I'd booked the trip. I'd stayed kind when she pulled away, patient when she went silent, soft when she turned cruel. And somewhere along the way, I forgot that I was allowed to have limits too. I glanced at the half moon overhead, pale and indifferent. I gave her all the softest parts of me, I whispered, and she handed them back like they were clutter. I closed my eyes and leaned back in the chair, letting the breeze move through me. I realized I wasn't fighting for her anymore. I was protecting something else now, something that had been buried under compromise and apology for too long. My own damn dignity. I'd forgotten how sacred it felt to just sit still and not try to prove my worth. I looked down at the glass in my hand and chuckled. You used to drink this with me, I said softly, thinking of the early years when she'd steal sips and grimace like I was trying to poison her. She'd always joked, you and your deep brooding man on a balcony look. Back then, it made her smile. Now, she probably thought I was just wasting time. But it didn't feel wasted. Not tonight. Tonight, it felt like the end of something, and the quiet beginning of something else. I sat there until the sky began to shift, deep navy bleeding into steel blue, then the first pink sigh of morning rising over the rooftops. And somewhere between the last sip of whiskey and the first chirp of birdsong, I felt it. That strength I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't loud. It didn't roar. It simply settled in my bones like it had always belonged there. By the time the sun crested over the trees, I stood, stretched, and whispered, I'm still here. Not for her. For me, it had been just over a month since that night on the balcony. 32 days, to be exact. Since then, I'd stopped counting how many times Monica walked past me without speaking. But I started counting something else. Reps, miles, protein grams. I joined a gym 5 blocks from the office, the kind where everyone wore earbuds and no one made small talk. It was perfect. At first, it was just something to fill the space. Then, it became the thing that held me together. My body started changing faster than I expected, shoulders broader, jawline sharper, the tiredness in my eyes fading. But it wasn't about looks. Not really. It was about discipline, control, reclaiming something I'd let slide while trying to keep a crumbling marriage upright. I got leaner, stronger, clearer, and apparently, Monica noticed. It was a quiet Wednesday morning. I was dressed in black joggers and a fitted quarter zip, pouring coffee into my to-go cup before heading out. Monica walked into the kitchen, hair still wet from the shower, wrapped in one of those oversized sweaters she used to wear only when she felt comfortable around me. I expected the usual, grabbing her tea, walking out without a word. But today, she lingered. Her eyes ran over me slowly. Then she said, "You look good lately." Just like that. No sarcasm. No edge. Just observation. I tightened the lid on my cup. Thanks. I didn't look at her. She leaned against the counter. Been hitting the gym a lot, huh? Yeah. Pause. Any reason for the sudden transformation? She asked, voice light, but laced with something. I met her gaze now, steady. Yeah, for me. She gave a faint laugh, but it didn't reach her eyes. That's new. I tilted my head. What's that supposed to mean? She shrugged. You used to do everything for us. Now you're suddenly self-focused. Just a shift, that's all. I set my cup down. You're the one who asked for space. You're the one who said you were numb. Now I do something that's just for me, and it's a problem? I didn't say it's a problem, she said, crossing her arms. I just don't recognize you lately. Well, I said quietly, I don't recognize you either. Her jaw clenched. So what? You're going to punish me now by becoming someone new? I blinked, stunned. Punish you? Monica, I got healthy. I started taking care of myself. That's not revenge, it's recovery. She stepped forward. You used to try so hard to win me back. Now you barely look at me. Because looking at you used to give me hope, I said. Now it just reminds me that hope wasn't mutual. She stared at me for a long beat. Then, softly, she said, maybe we both gave up too quietly. I didn't respond. I just picked up my keys, slid on my jacket, and said over my shoulder, or maybe one of us never started trying in the first place. The door clicked shut behind me, and for the first time since she said she was tired of serving me, I didn't feel guilty for walking away. Not even a little. There was a rooftop lounge above the gym that hardly anyone used. A couple of beat-up patio chairs, a smoothie bar that closed at 5, and a view of downtown Charleston just beyond the trees. It became my escape, and that's where I met her. Eliza. She worked downstairs, certified nutritionist, part-time trainer, full-time attitude. The first time we crossed paths, I was standing by the blender bar, trying to decode a chalkboard menu full of things like turmeric collagen shot and spirulina recharge. She walked up beside me, ponytail high, tank top loose, voice dry. Unless you're training to become a glow stick, I wouldn't start with that one. I turned. Excuse me? She pointed to the fluorescent green smoothie on the board. Tastes like sadness and regret. Go for the mango vanilla. It won't change your life, but at least it won't ruin your morning. I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in weeks. Noted. She stuck out her hand. Eliza, resident blender critic and nutritional buzzkill. Brian, I replied. Aspiring glow stick. From that moment, it just clicked. We started running into each other regularly. Then it became intentional. I'd shift my workouts to match her schedule. She'd save me a seat upstairs on the roof, 2 smoothies, already sweating in the sun. She was vibrant in a way that didn't beg for attention. It just was. Confident, but not loud. She'd tease me about my serious face. When lifting, said I looked like a man doing taxes in his head. And when I told her about my wife, well, the version of that story I could manage, she didn't flinch. Oh, she said, sipping her drink. One of those slow burn heartbreaks. Let me guess, the kind where it doesn't even explode, it just withers? I raised an eyebrow. That's scarily accurate. Been there, she replied, setting her cup down. Takes forever to realize you're not broken, just bored of being invisible. I leaned back in my chair. Yeah, that. That's how she was. No frills. No overreactions. Just clarity in human form. We talked about music, food, even old TV shows we both weirdly loved as kids. I didn't have to try around her. I didn't have to prove anything. I just got to be someone I hadn't been in years, me. One afternoon, after a particularly grueling leg day, we sat on the rooftop again, sun high above, sweat still clinging to the backs of our necks. She handed me a cold bottle of water. You're getting stronger, she said, nudging me with her foot. Even your stubbornness is lifting heavier. I smirked. That's thanks to you. And mango vanilla smoothies. She smiled, and there was something different in it this time. Something softer. You're easy to be around, Brian, she said. I hope you know that. I looked over. So are you. We sat there for a beat, and before I could fully process what was happening, she leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't dramatic. No music swelled in the background. It was simple, warm, right. When we pulled back, she grinned and reached for her phone. Wait, don't move. What? You're smiling like a human for once. I'm documenting this rare event. She snapped a photo, mid-laugh, sweat slicked and sunlit. I rolled my eyes. You're ridiculous. Yeah, she said, showing me the screen. But that's the look of someone who's finally starting to breathe again. And she was right. I hadn't realized how long I'd been holding my breath. The photo sat in my phone gallery for 12 hours before I did anything with it. It wasn't even about Eliza's kiss anymore. Or the rooftop. Or the smoothie. It was the look on my face. I didn't recognize it. That quiet, effortless happiness. No weight in the eyes. No hesitation in the smile. And the caption came to me faster than I expected. Living like I should have long ago. 7 words. No names. No backstory. Just truth. I hovered over the post button for a few seconds, then tapped it. And just like that, it was out in the world. It took exactly 5 minutes. First a like. Then 2. Then 20. I watched as the floodgates opened. Old friends from college. Clients from work. My sister. Former neighbors. Some people I hadn't heard from in years. Dude, finally. You look happy for real this time. You two look amazing. When's the wedding? She's beautiful. Way better energy than the Ice Queen. Glad you dumped Monica. Never liked her anyway. I blinked. Read that one twice. There were more. Monica always acted like she was better than you. Man, we all saw it. You were miserable. It's about time you stopped saving someone who didn't want to be saved. Some of the comments were playful. Some were raw. All of them were honest. And maybe that's what shook me the most. How easily people saw what I had tried to hide for so long. By minute 5, my phone started vibrating. Caller ID, Monica. I stared at it. Then it rang again. And again. Within the next 3 minutes, 47 missed calls. No exaggeration. 47. The messages came next. Monica, what the hell is this? Monica, Brian, call me right now. Monica, are you serious? Monica, did you post that for me to see? Monica, who ISSHE? Monica, answer your damn phone. Monica, you don't get to humiliate me like this. Monica, I swear if you don't call me in the next 5 minutes. The last one didn't finish. Just 3 dots. Typing. Then nothing. I stood in the middle of my kitchen, still in gym clothes, phone buzzing in my palm, a smoothie bottle sweating on the counter beside me. And all I could think was, this is the most attention she's given me in months. I turned the phone over, face down on the counter. Let it buzz. Let her feel it. Let her sit with the exact kind of silence I lived in for almost a year. Eliza called a few minutes later, casual, unaware. Hey, I think your post just broke the algorithm. I'm getting friend requests from dudes named Clay and Kurt. I laughed, still staring at the wall like I was floating above it all. Yeah, it blew up more than I expected. She paused. You okay? Actually, I said yeah, I am. Did she see it? Oh, she saw it. She saw it 47 times. Eliza whistled low. Wow. Yeah. Do I need to go into hiding? No, I said. This wasn't about starting a war. It was just about not hiding anymore. Silence on the line. Then her voice, soft and even. You don't owe anyone an apology for healing. I let that sink in. No, I said. I don't. That night, I didn't answer her calls. Not one. Because the truth is, Monica had every chance to pick up the pieces. But she didn't want to hold them. Not until they were in someone else's hands. And I was done handing myself over just to keep someone else from feeling uncomfortable. The post stayed up. The comments kept coming. And for once, I didn't feel exposed. I felt seen. I had just dropped my keys in the bowl by the door when I heard the footsteps. Fast, sharp, deliberate. Monica came storming into the kitchen like a thundercloud. She didn't wait for a greeting. "You think that was funny?" she snapped. I didn't even flinch. I walked to the fridge, grabbed a bottle of water, and twisted the cap slowly. "Hi, Monica. Nice to see you too." Her face twisted. "Don't you dare play it cool. That photo. That caption. You knew what you were doing." "Yeah," I said, taking a sip. For once, I did. She stepped closer, her voice rising. "Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? I had friends, family, even clients, messaging me. I looked like some bitter, washed-out wife while you're playing the rebrand King of Charleston." I leaned against the counter. "Monica, no one made you look that way. That's just how you left things." "You blindsided me," she snapped. "You posted that on purpose." I laughed. I actually laughed. It surprised both of us. "You know what's wild?" I said, setting the bottle down. "All these months, you barely looked at me. Then I smile. Once, with someone else, and suddenly you remember I exist?" Her eyes narrowed. "So that's what this is? Payback?" "No," I said calmly. "It's peace." She scoffed. "You call that peace? Publicly dragging me through the mud?" I tilted my head. "You dragged yourself, Monica. You threw me away in silence." I just stopped holding the trash bag. Her breath hitched. Her hands clenched at her sides. "You're disgusting," she spat. "You let some gym girl crawl into your lap and think that fixes your pride." "At least she wanted to be there," I said. "Can't say the same about the woman I kissed in the hallway last month." Monica's jaw dropped. She blinked. "You are not comparing. She's better at kissing than you are," I said flatly. The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut glass. She stared at me, mouth slightly open, like she didn't believe I'd actually said it. "You're pathetic," she hissed. "No," I said. "I was. For too long. But now I'm just free." She stepped back like I'd slapped her, chest rising and falling fast. "You'll regret this." I shook my head. I already regret staying as long as I did. For a second, she didn't say anything. Then, without another word, she turned and walked out of the kitchen, barefoot, shaking, every ounce of control she'd clung to unraveling behind her. And for the first time in our marriage, I didn't follow. I just picked up my water, walked out to the back porch, and let the night wrap around me like a truth that had waited far too long to be spoken. It was a Saturday afternoon in October. Crisp, golden leaves drifted down outside the brewery's patio as I sat around a picnic table with a few old friends from work. Kevin, Marcus, and Chris. Beers in hand, laughter in the air, the kind of catch-up conversation that starts with football and always ends somewhere deeper. We'd already gone through the usual: who got promoted, who bought a boat, whose kid is eating dog food again. Then Marcus leaned over, grinning. "Man, I still can't believe you and Monica are done. Honestly, should have happened years ago." I raised an eyebrow. "Really?" Chris snorted into his pint. "Oh, come on. We all saw it. She treated you like a background extra in your own life. Always correcting you." Rolling her eyes. Like she couldn't stand being in the same room, but wouldn't say it. Kevin chimed in, half shrugging. "You used to defend her, though? Like it was your job." I nodded slowly, letting their words settle. Not in a bitter way. Just clarity. Pure, unfiltered clarity. "Yeah," I said. "I guess I thought that was love. Sticking around. Explaining away the coldness. Blaming myself when she pulled away." "You weren't blind," Chris said. "You were loyal." That hit me. Because it was true. I wasn't weak. I wasn't needy. I was loyal to someone who didn't want to be held. I took a sip of beer and pulled out my phone, almost by instinct. One new message. "Eliza, you up for a hike tomorrow? Or are you still recovering from leg day, Grandpa?" I smirked. Marcus saw it. "That her?" I nodded. "Yeah. She seems good for you." "She is," I said simply. "She sees me. And she doesn't want to change me. That's more than I ever knew I needed." The guys raised their glasses. "To breathing again," Kevin said. We clinked. Later, as I stepped outside alone, the wind hit just right. Cool against my face, the scent of roasted pecans from a vendor nearby, the sound of someone's dog barking down the block. And right then, in that quiet, ordinary moment, I felt it. Not relief. Not pride. Not even joy. Just freedom. A kind of wholeness I hadn't touched in years. And I walked toward it. Lighter, stronger, finally whole. That was the end of my story. Monica said she felt emotionally numb, and instead of telling me the truth early on, she pulled away piece by piece until I was the only one still holding on. If someone you once loved slowly turns you into a stranger, are they being honest or just avoiding the hard conversation? Let me know in the comments if she did the right thing or something else entirely. And if this story hit home, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've got more to share.